Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew. Evening, right? Yeah. My name is Andrew. I'm the CEO of Carbonaught. We are a climate-smart agriculture company, and what we do is we convert degraded agricultural land into soils that are more productive and climate resilient, but also serve as a platform for low-emission farming in the future. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown of the problem space as we see it, what we're doing about it with our protocol, and how you can play a part in a pretty aggressive growth strategy. So the first stop on this journey starts with the problem space, and basically kicks off with the World Bank saying the global food system is no longer fit for purpose. Not only do we need to increase food production by 50 to 70% over the next 25 years, but the land we have available to do it with is shrinking at the rate of 5 to 10 million tons, 5 to 10 million hectares per year. And the sector as a whole is pretty stubbornly sitting around 25 to 35% of global emissions. So that's a pretty big problem space looking us in the face. I guess the slight nuance that we took from it when we were looking at it was that all of that problem, all the resolution requirements were kind of bundled up and dropped at the feet of farmers to solve. And we thought that was a pretty bad place to start, considering what else they have to put up with. Moreover, when those farmers went to the shed to find their options for solutions, what's in there at the moment, on the whole, probably isn't fit for purpose at scale yet. So whether it's in the production space, the answer of more land and or more fertilizer certainly is marginally viable in rich countries, certainly not in poor. And on the emission fronts, there are significant questions about technology efficacy, and if it is likely to be deployable, is it deployable in the next 6 to 8 years? But when we looked at the whole problem and took a step back, the real monster hiding in plain sight for us was this little feedback mechanism sitting inside agricultural soils, and that was its role as a carbon sink. And that little feedback mechanism, how it works is more CO2 in the atmosphere, more volatile weather patterns, bashing up more degraded agricultural soils that can't put up a fight, further derating their role as a carbon sink, more emissions in the air, etc. And there were significant efforts underway already with big names, big funding, big efforts, really innovative stuff happening in the soil organic carbon space. But pretty much everyone around the world was ignoring the full other half of that equation, the soil inorganic component. And together, that's how you get your total carbon stocks going up. And we saw that was our sort of like vector of attack on this monster. It was like, right, we're going to go after that. So we developed a scientific protocol and then a business model that surrounds that protocol that we think relatively elegantly addresses some of the key problems facing the food security challenge in sort of one process. So by crushing up rock and building new layers of soil, what we're able to do is directly address some of the key drivers of soil degradation by delivering a fertilizer benefit into the nutrient imbalance equation, delivering a liming effect into the acidification problem, but then also playing in that emission space by providing a medium that has a negative emission technology under the hood that not only captures CO2 from the atmosphere as that rock breaks down, but locks it up forever. And we think that's a really good one too, when you pair it with some of the innovative stuff going on in soil organic carbon at the moment. We produce a lot of soil organic carbon, we just don't understand by the process by which it's formed, so we don't try and commoditize it. So how it works, broadly speaking, is we source reactive alkaline basalts from mining and quarrying operations. We screen them for heavy metal risk and bioavailability of those metals. We essentially crush it up and spread it as a thin carpet on surrounding farmland. And then we set up infrastructure to both measure, model, report, and then through independent agencies validate the carbon drawdown impact just on the soil inorganic carbon. We commoditize that and sell it into open markets. And our business model basically works back up the page. We essentially partner with large off-takers who finance the projects and back propagate the funds through the value chain to deliver what we're after. We deliver value mainly into the gross margin and cost of capital equations for miners and agricultural firms. So in the mining space, your typical 1 digger, 5 truck fleet on a small operation, for every kilometre that dump has to move away from the pit, it's costing them about $250,000. And on the farm space, we took a pretty separate tack, looking at decades of government inquiries, and our business model doesn't rely on the farmers paying for anything. We need them almost as a processing plant, and so they're incentivized to adopt this based on the fertilizer effect. But the real question is, why would people buy the carbon credits that underpin this climate smart agriculture play? Well, we really like Greenpeace, and we took their sort of criteria for a high quality offset as our baseline. And we're able to prove geochemically additionality, not just in the operations, but crucially that business model reflects the ability of our largest buyers to have to prove financial additionality, i.e. the project wouldn't have gone ahead without that purchase. I guess the big separator between us and soil organic carbon is that our carbon is permanently locked up. It's stored as a mineral, not in organic matter, which is an attractive thing for our clients who don't want that liability reappearing on their balance sheet in 3 to 5 years, because in Australia, as Jackie French so eloquently put it, we are a land where fire, flood and drought are whispered on the winds. And by sitting in the voluntary carbon credit space, we remove the risk of being double counted by both a company and a nation. But the real kicker in I guess our process is the increasing momentum around the largest purchasers to gain exposure within their portfolio of credits to negative emission technology. And as our rock breaks down, it's been independently verified through the XPrize process. We now have some other consultants going to work on some stuff. But basically what it breaks down to is for every ton we emit in our process, from extraction, processing, transport, application, MRV, we remove 9. And that's really important for our clients who have large diesel and or methane emission profiles that are unlikely to be eradicated or meaningfully dented in the next 10 years as they struggle or as they deal, let's say, with fleet transfer or legacy fleet transfers. Really brief side note here onto what enhanced weathering is. The process basically is you have rock, it's got a whole bunch of nutrient-rich clays and a whole bunch of rock star minerals in there that are the ones that lock up the CO2. You melt that with carbonic acid, so CO2 in rainwater or groundwater. As that rock melts, the soil fertility builds up, the carbon's drawn down and locked up as a mineral. While we're waiting for that carbon drawdown to happen, our clients can report directly into 3 other UN Sustainability Development Goals. So I guess that's the theory, really rapidly switching into the practical. The practical application really kicks off this July with the launch of the Zero Carbon Cane project. So that's a 350 hectare, 9,000 tonne project operating in Bundaberg, whose primary objective is to prove that sugar production can not only be carbon neutral, i.e. that it's possible, but that it's also profitable. And to do that, we have to stitch together the full value chain across a carbon removal process, plus also the full value chain across an agricultural commodity process. That's important because it's going to serve as the blueprint for the portfolio of beachhead operations we have coming in behind it, which as a network will form our XPrize main round submission, and also kickstart our supply trajectory into 2025, which at the moment we've got most of the constituent parts up to a megaton in discussion. I'm ripping through here because I've been given the nod. We need that kind of aggressive growth pattern to hit our 2029 visions between ourselves and our clients, removing 1 billion tonnes of CO2 per year, having restored or restoring 150 million hectares globally. We've got a good team, smart people. You can look at the website. I'm not going to bang on about it, but we're pretty happy. Our skill sets span the entire value chain. That's me. I guess the same foundation that gave birth to Tesla and SpaceX tended to agree, whereas this time last year they gave us the call that we were going to go top 25 in the world in the carbon removal challenge, where we ended up placing 24th. That in turn kicked off a pretty whirlwind 12 months, which has seen us in the last 6 weeks move into commercialization phase, whereas 8 months ago under CA we had 10,000 tonnes of demand in the pipeline. That number now sits at over 50 million, which even if you discount it pretty significantly, is more than we can produce in the next 3 years. To capitalise on this momentum, we're heading to a major raise in June. We're in the courting phase with potential leads right now up until mid-May, with the focus on Australia-based entities until mid-April when we take off to San Fran and speak at the equivalent version of this over there, where we'll switch to the US. Hopefully everything wrapped up by August so we can really focus on operations. So I guess if you want to be part of this growth story, a major global commodity agriculture company for the 21st century, either as an investor or as a carbon credit buyer facilitating the launch of the largest climate-smart agriculture firm in the world, we'd love to hear from you. We're Carbonaught, and we do food security and carbon removal at scale.
Awesome. Cheers. Stay here for a tick. We'll try and get a question or two.
Yeah, sure.
Super exciting. I mean, we've heard a lot today about how people were sort of complaining, if you like, about solutions not being ready for scale. It's pretty exciting that, you know, you just, like, it's basically invest or buy the credits and you guys are ready to go at scale. Very exciting. What questions do we have in the audience all the way down here? Thank you.
Hi, Louisa Kiley, Carbon Farmers of Australia. So is XPrize carbon the standard, number one? And can it be done on land apart from sugarcane?
No, that's the XPrize is kind of a very convenient framework that has lined up with our company timelines. The independent verification agency we're currently working most closely with will be Puro Earth, being the only one with an enhanced weathering protocol. But we spun up a US subsidiary a few months ago and we filed patents over there. But the US are bringing out some pretty interesting closed networks protocols as well that have big farmers and big buyers on there. So we're not averse to working into those systems either. But yeah, path to market is Puro at the moment. And the answer is yes. Basically, if you have acidic, crappy soil that you need to improve the carrying capacity for, that is in a decent rainfall area and within a distance from a source of about 150K, you're on.
Awesome. Anybody else? We've got one at the front here. Just wait for the mic if you would.
John Ridley from Ocean Nourishment, and we will see you in San Francisco next month because we're also in XPrize. Yeah. Just a question on the cost per tonne you got to under XPrize, because it was really detailed calcs you had to put in for XPrize. Where did you get to on cost per tonne for crushing and transporting?
So we got down to at the megaton scale. Yeah, so we got down to US 96 a tonne on the megaton scale, but that was using pretty conventional extraction techniques, so drill and blast and digger. We're now seeing an enormous amount of innovation happening in that space, where essentially for everyone that's not mining, they're bringing underground mining techniques to the surface and putting solar powers on it. So where the crushing and grinding will happen in situ. So we're confident that we can get it down significantly below that.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.